The first suspension event was the result of about 5 years of doing suspensions with ropes and harnesses from wooden structures, from balloons. But around 1976 I was getting concerned about all the support paraphernalia, the kind of visual clutter of all the materials needed to do the suspension. And I came across these images of ritual suspensions, religious suspensions. I was always kind of repulsed by fakirs sticking things into their skin and stuff like that, but it was strangely beautiful, and I thought, wow, if it was possible to actually do a suspension like this, this would be really neat, because on the one hand you would use minimum material to suspend the body. On the other hand, the skin would actually support the body, or help to support the body, so the body would become part of its own support structure. The first 4 suspensions involved rotating the body 360 degrees in space. The first suspension was horizontal face down, the second one was vertical face up, horizontal face up, and then upside down. And I honestly thought that that was it. 4 suspensions, rotating the body in space, positioning the body in space seemed to be the interesting concern. And then I started getting ideas about, for example, counterbalancing the body's weight with a ring of rocks, suspending the body in a tensegrity icosahedron where none of the solid materials, including the body, were touching. Everything was held together by the tensions of the cords. So a whole series of events involved actually suspending the body within different structural situations. Again, I didn't consider going any further than that, except the idea of inserting the body into the landscape, in a sense amplifying the body's obsolescence by returning the body into the natural landscape, by reaffirming its relationship to water, rocks, wind, trees. In a sense, the body comes back to nature, but only to find itself obsolete. So a whole series of outdoor events began, including the seaside suspension, the tree suspension, the suspension in Mexico City, and finally the street suspension in New York. And that was very different from the previous events because firstly the suspension was done in a public space, and also this involved the kind of social problems of what do you do with a crowd of people, how do you cope with city laws, what happens with the police. It's a real hassle. Most of the previous events were done in private, with the help of just artist friends. There was almost no audience involved, and certainly no problems with police because it was done in private. I tried to do this first street suspension in Tokyo, and we were stopped by security guards. I tried to do the event in Los Angeles, but I couldn't get any support to do that. Finally, the event in New York, we planned it a little bit better. I got support for doing this event, and we took certain precautions like locking the doors of the buildings downstairs to prevent people from quickly stopping the event. We stretched the cable between the two buildings, and then when we were ready, the body actually emerged out of a window on the 4th floor. And the experience was really stunning because the event occurred in a fairly small, dim room, and the body was connected to the cable by a sort of a pulley structure. And when everything was connected and the body was ready to go, it rolled down the cable and out of the window and into the sort of expanse of the street, and not only horizontally but then vertically. And it was a really stunning experience, and it was sort of a roar from the people down below. And within 5 minutes there were about 3 squad cars converging down below, and there was a bit of a traffic jam. It took the police about 7 minutes to clear up the traffic, and then they forced a halt to the event. So it was about 12 minutes, I guess, altogether. It was a rather unique situation in Copenhagen because firstly, it was probably the most public event. It was advertised quite freely in the media. In fact, quite miraculously, we got permission from the director of the Royal Theatre. We got permission from the architects who are doing the changes to the building. We got permission from the construction company involved with doing this. I think there was some sort of union who had to kind of rubber stamp the safety side of it, and also the police agreed. So it was pretty incredible. I don't think it could happen anywhere else.